father and cousin go to work that morning at America's Precious Metals. They know Johnny Mac. They know his name. So by the afternoon of December the 17th, that next day, that Friday, law enforcement is well aware that there's 2 individuals missing from the SO community. Johnny Mac's of Calhoun. Now, because of that, around 2 that afternoon, Michael Raylan with the Sheriff's Department starting to put some things together. It looks suspicious, 2 people missing right there. He goes to Brittany Nixon's house. He wants to know, do you have any ideas about Mr. Johnny Mac of Calhoun? She tells him, well, I've got one idea. There's a place he likes to go. Up on his brother-in-law's property up in Geneva. It's a campground. And it's kind of where he likes to go to get away from it all, get away from the hustle and bustle. He likes to go there and stay. So she takes Michael Rayleigh up to this campground. Again, it's on his brother-in-law down in Charlie Skinner on his property. Michael Rayleigh sees the campground, and it started to rain by that time. Remember, the car fire set, we anticipate, we'll show you at 11 a.m. The fire's raging. By 2 p.m., Michael Rayleigh is at the campground. Michael Rayleigh doesn't notice anything out of the ordinary. It's a camp in the woods, camping area. Gets back in his car, the investigation goes another direction. But Michael Rayleigh does an important thing. He logs that particular location, that campground, in with other law enforcement agencies. Because by this time, there's a lot of people looking for these individuals, even though it's just the next day. Later that evening, on the 17th, Mia's family is understandably worried. Some of her family has heard the same type of rumors. Hey, Johnny Mac's missing too. So they go to Brittany's house and they ask for Brittany's help. You know where he could be. She agrees that she'll go back to that trailer and she'll look around this time. She'll see if she can find anything. She goes to the trailer. Again, she was taken there by some of Mia's family. She goes in the trailer to the horror of everybody there. He walks out holding Mia's purse. Family immediately recognizes the purse, identify the contents, and take it to law enforcement that night of the 17th. With one glaring omission missing from the purse, Mia's digital camera. If you're going to hear evidence that Mia liked to take pictures, she usually had a digital camera with her, usually kept it in her purse. That's the only thing that the family can really point out right off the bat that's missing from the purse. They give the purse to law enforcement. Well, that leads to the morning of the 18th, and now we're on to Saturday. Law enforcement is able to get a search warrant for the defendant's residence based on the finding of that purse, and they go in. Now, it's important to remember at this point that we have a missing persons investigation. There's just 2 people missing. So law enforcement, assisted with the Florida Holmes County Sheriff's Office, assisted by the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, goes into the trailer that morning of Saturday the 18th. Well, they start looking around. The trailer is ransacked. I suspect you're going to see pictures of how violent the struggle was in that trailer by the condition of the inside of that trailer. But the trailer's ransacked. But there's a few things upon looking and closely examining that they do find that causes some alarm. They find the duct tape. Not by itself alarming. Remember, nobody knows who he is, nobody knows what happened to me at this point. But the duct tape roll, we all know how duct tape looks, and it's got that white cardboard in the middle that is rolled around. On that white cardboard is a substance that appears to be blood. So that's confiscated by the Florida Department of Law Enforcement. Very near to that duct tape roll, Michael Rayleigh sees something that strikes his interest. And on a whim, he collects an SD card. That's what we're talking about here, an SD card that goes into a digital camera or computer or that type of thing. And Michael Rayleigh remembers what his family told him about the camera was missing. He sees this SD card, So he confiscates that as well. But again, that's pretty much the extent of that first search. That's the missing persons investigation. Now at the same time, or near the same time, the morning of Saturday the 18th, there's a family in Geneva County. The last name is Brooks. Tony, Carolyn, and Tiffany are their names. They had gotten up that Saturday morning, and Tiffany, the young daughter, goes out to the shed. Like so many other people in our communities, they have extra fridges and freezers out in their barn shed back area. Well, Tiffany goes out there to get milk and things for breakfast. And when she does, she finds Johnny Maxito Calhoun on the floor of this shed. He had pulled the blanket off that they keep draped over their freezer. He was huddled up, wet, dirty, scratched up on the floor of that shed. Now the Brookses knew Johnny Mac. They were acquaintances of him. So while that may be alarming in a sense, they didn't know him, so they invited him inside. They allowed him to take a shower. They had no knowledge of what was going on at that time. They allowed him to take a shower. They washed his clothes. They allowed him to put on other clothes. They let him get on the couch and take a nap. At some point, that morning of the 18th, the Brookses get a call. They get a call from Tiffany's boyfriend, someone by the name of Stephen Bledsoe. I anticipate the evidence will show that Stephen Bledsoe had just been to a junior store in Geneva. He'd seen a missing persons flyer. He didn't know Mia Shea Brown, but he saw Johnny Maxito Calhoun's picture, and he knew the Brookses knew him. He happened to call that morning and he said, "Hey, they're looking for Johnny." The Brookses said, "Well, he's here." Well, they're also looking for a young lady by the name of Mia Shea Brown. So Carolyn Brooks, the mom, asked the defendant, "Do you know law enforcement's looking for you? They're also looking for Mia Shea Brown." And at that point, Johnny Maxito Calhoun, an acquaintance of Mia's, he and his girlfriend knew each other, tells the Brookses he doesn't understand that because he doesn't know anybody named Mia Shea Brown. At that point, after that phone call, he wants a ride. He wants to be taken back to Florida. Brookses tell him they don't have the gas, so he said, "Well, just take me and drop me off on a dirt road close to the state line." Well, they do that. On the 19th, Sunday, not a whole lot of activity in the case. Well, there was a whole lot of activity in the case, but not as far as evidentiary value. There's a lot of investigations going on. Search warrant was done at the Brookses' residence, that type of thing. And then on the 20th, that morning, there's some individuals with the Alabama's equivalent to the Game and Fish Commission. Well, by that time, law enforcement knew that Johnny Maxito had been found the morning of the 18th. Law enforcement had already talked to the Brookses, so they knew that he had been at their house that morning. He was still missing, Mia was still missing, and they knew about the campground. The law enforcement, those game officers, went to the area of the campground and they noticed a couple of bushes that were pushed out. So again, on a whim, they get out of their vehicle and they start walking through the woods. And again, to their horror, they come upon a vehicle. A very charred and burnt vehicle. They're able to look through the front windshield. Everything's burned inside this car. So as they're able to look through the front windshield, they can see through that little hole that goes behind the seat, and they see what they believe are bones. Rib bones. Well, things, as you can imagine, happened very quickly after that. Found some people there. Her body's located, taken to the medical examiner's office.